Y'all, this right here is straight up insanity. Just when we thought we'd seen it all, boom. New receipts just dropped that could shake the entire love and hip-hop universe. Chrissy Lampkin and Mendeecees' toxic connection exposed. Now, hold up, what is really going on behind the scenes? How did these two even get tangled up in this web of drama, betrayal, and straight-up messiness? And why is Yendi losing her mind over it? Something ain't right, and we got the facts to prove it. We're talking leaked messages, secret meetups, and whispers about a connection so shady that even the most diehard fans are shocked. Was this the ultimate betrayal? Was this planned all along? Y'all better grab your popcorn, cause this tea is piping hot, and trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at Chrissy and Mendeecees the same way again. So smash that like button, cause we're about to dive deep into this messy, jaw-dropping scandal, and you won't believe what we found. Alright y'all, buckle up, cause this one's about to get real messy. We all know Chrissy Lampkin as the no-nonsense, say it like it is queen from love and hip-hop, and then we got Mendeecees, Mr. I've changed, but somehow always in the middle of some drama. But what if I told you these two have way more history than they're letting on? What if I told you there's evidence that ties Chrissy and Mendeecees together in ways we never saw coming, and let's just say it ain't pretty? First things first, how do Chrissy and Mendeecees even know each other? Cause let's be real, these two never really crossed paths on camera like that. But oh, behind the scenes? Different story. See, back in the day, before Mendeecees even linked up with Yendi Smith, he was moving in circles way too close to Chrissy's world. We're talking late-night business dealings, mutual friends, and let's just say, favors being exchanged. Y'all remember when Chrissy and Jim Jones were dealing with all that financial drama? Rumors were flying that money was being moved in ways that weren't exactly legal. Now, sources are saying, guess who was in the mix, helping make those transactions disappear? Yep, Mendeecees himself. And wait, it gets worse. Chrissy and Jim always had a roller coaster relationship, right? We saw her propose to this man on national TV just for him to turn around and keep dodging marriage for over a decade. But what if I told you that wasn't just Jim being Jim? What if there was another reason Jim was acting real funny, a reason that involves a certain someone with a history of creeping where he shouldn't be? Y'all following me here? Cause this tea is about to hit boiling point. So, boom. Word on the street is Chrissy and Mendeecees' connection ain't just about money. Oh no. See, we got sources saying there were whispers about late-night meetups, low-key rendezvous, and some seriously suspicious activity between the two. And listen, I ain't trying to spread gossip, but then again, that's exactly what we're here to do. So get this, an anonymous source, someone close to the situation, recently spilled some shocking details about a time when Jim Jones was out of town for a few weeks, and guess who was conveniently spotted slipping in and out of Chrissy's old condo? Y'all already know where this is going. That's right, Mendeecees. And before y'all say, oh, maybe he was just handling business, explain to me why these meetings were happening late at night. Explain to me why no one was supposed to know about them. And let's talk about these so-called business deals, cause listen, when it comes to Mendeecees, business always got a little extra involved, if you know what I mean. And the wildest part? When Yendi got wind of this, she lost it. Y'all know Yendi don't play when it comes to her man. She'll defend Mendeecees through anything. But even she couldn't ignore the red flags. When this story started making the rounds, sources say Yendi confronted Mendeecees about his connection to Chrissy, and let's just say it did not go well. She started asking questions he couldn't answer. She started bringing up receipts he thought were buried, and the more she dug, the more things weren't adding up. And y'all, this is where things take a turn, cause Mendeecees ain't deny nothing outright. Oh no. Instead, he pulled the classic, "Why you bringing up old stuff?" move. He told Yendi she was tripping, that it wasn't what she thought, that people just love to talk. But here's where he slipped up. When Yendi pressed him about those late-night visits, about the timing of certain transactions, he didn't say she was wrong. He just got real quiet. And if there's one thing we all know about men who get quiet when they're getting pressed, that means something is up. And let's not forget Chrissy and Yendi been beefing for years. Back in the day, Chrissy made it real clear she ain't respect Yendi. She called her messy, disrespectful, and even accused her of trying to control Jim's career. So now, finding out Chrissy and Mendeecees might have been moving shady behind her back. Oh, Yendi was ready to go off. And that's exactly what she did. Yendi wasn't about to just let this slide, nope. She pulled up with receipts, energy, and all the smoke, and from what we're hearing, Chrissy was not ready. Imagine this, a private event, exclusive guest list, cameras rolling. Yendi walks in, all calm, but that's the dangerous kind of calm, the I got something for you kind of calm. She walks straight up to Chrissy, looks her dead in the eye, and says, "So, how long you been messing with my husband, baby I?" The silence in that room? You could hear a pin drop. Chrissy was shook. She tried to laugh it off, saying Yendi was doing too much, but Yendi wasn't having it. She pulled out screenshots of transactions. She pulled out texts that seemed way too cozy for just business, and when Chrissy tried to brush it off, Yendi dropped the real bombshell. "I got someone who saw you together, and they're ready to talk." And y'all, that's where part 1 ended. But trust me, it only gets crazier from here. Part 2. Oh, we're diving even deeper into the madness. Stay locked in, cause the scandal is just getting started. Chrissy froze. For the first time, the woman who was always ready with a comeback, always 10 steps ahead, looked like she'd been caught completely off guard. Yendi wasn't playing. She had screenshots, timestamps, and most importantly, someone who had seen it all. Now, y'all already know how Chrissy gets when she's backed into a corner. She don't fold easy. So what does she do? She laughs dead in Yendi's face, laughs like this whole thing was a joke. She was like, "Girl, you must be real bored to be making up stories like this." But see, Yendi ain't flinch. She pulled out her phone, tapped the screen, and said, "You might want to hear what this person has to say before you start laughing too hard." And that's when the real chaos started. The whole room went silent. Chrissy's expression changed, just for a second, but Yendi caught it, that little flicker of nervousness, and that's all Yendi needed. Now, let's talk about this mystery witness, because who is this person, and how do they have first-hand knowledge of Chrissy and Mendeecees' so-called business? Well, here's where things get messy. The person in question? None other than an ex-associate of Mendeecees, someone who used to handle certain transactions for him. Let's call him Dre. See, Dre had been around Mendeecees for years. He knew how Mendeecees operated, who he met up with, where he moved his money, and most importantly, who he was spending time with when he wasn't with Yendi. And guess what? Dre had receipts. Now, let's pause for a second, because at this point, Chrissy was still trying to act unbothered. She was sipping her drink like nothing Yendi was saying mattered. But then Yendi hit play on the voice recording, and baby, the whole room lost it. Because clear as day, you could hear Dre talking about how he personally drove Mendeecees to Chrissy's spot multiple times, how Mendeecees would tell him, "I keep this low-key. I don't need no extra eyes on me." And the part that really sent shockwaves? Dre straight up said, "Mendeecees told me himself. Chrissy got something over him. That's why he keep going back." What? At this point, the tension in the room was so thick, you could cut it with a knife. Chrissy's face went from smug to stone cold. But Yendi, oh, she was loving this. She leaned in and said, "You want to keep laughing now, or should I keep going?" And that's when Chrissy snapped. She stood up so fast, her drink spilled. She got right in Yendi's face, pointing her finger like she was ready to throw hands. "You really think I got to explain myself to you over some fake-ass recording? You reaching, Yendi, and it's embarrassing." But see, here's the thing. Yendi wasn't just talking. She had evidence. She pulled up a text thread, one that had been forwarded from an anonymous source, a thread between Mendeecees and Chrissy. Now, it wasn't anything outright romantic, but the wording? Suspicious as hell. Mendeecees: "You sure everything good? Ain't nobody asking questions, right?" Chrissy: "Nah, I got this. Just keep handling what you need to handle. I ain't worried about nothing long as you keep your end tight." Now, y'all tell me, does that sound like just business to you? And let's not forget, Jim Jones and Mendeecees had never been cool like that. So, why was Mendeecees handling anything for Chrissy, unless there was more to it? At this point, Chrissy was pissed. She turned to the crowd, shaking her head like Yendi was crazy. Y'all really believe this nonsense for real? But guess what? Not everybody was defending her. Some people in the room were looking at her funny, some were whispering, and you know how it is. Once doubt creeps in, it spreads fast. That's when Yandandy hit her with a final blow. If it's all lies, Chrissy, why you look so uncomfortable right now?
Boom. Chrissy was done.
She grabbed her purse, rolled her eyes, and stormed out. And y'all already know what happened next. The internet went crazy. Clips of the confrontation leaked within hours, blogs picked it up. Twitter was in shambles, and now people were starting to ask real questions. Was there truth to this? 'Cause see, here's the thing. Mendes ain't addressed nothing. He didn't deny it, he didn't try to clear his name, he just stayed quiet. And if we know one thing about Mendes, it's that he loves to defend himself. So why wasn't he saying anything now, unless he knew he couldn't? At this point, Yandy was done. With him, she took her kids, left the house, and, according to sources, stopped answering his calls. Now, y'all, this ain't just a petty argument, because if what Yandandy was saying was true, that means Mandy's been lying to her for years, and it also means Chrissy's been moving sneaky this whole time. And let's not forget the biggest question of all. What exactly does Chrissy have over Mendes? Because remember, Dre said Mondays told him she got something on him, and that, my friends, is the part that got everybody shook. What could Chrissy possibly know that has Mendeecees still playing by her rules? And why hasn't Jim said a word about any of this? Y'all, we're just scratching the surface. 'Cause trust me, it gets even deeper. And in part 3, we're taking it all the way there. Stay tuned, 'cause the story is far from over. First, people thought maybe Mendeecees and Chrissy had an old relationship that Yandy didn't know about, like maybe before Jim, before Yandandy, something was going on between them. But nah, that theory didn't stick for long because new tea started spilling, and this was the part that shook everybody. A so-called industry insider, someone who claims to have been around for years, came forward with some information that changed the entire narrative. And here's what they said. Mendes allegedly did some business back in the day that wasn't exactly legal. Now, we all know Mendes already did time for drug trafficking. That's public knowledge. But apparently, there's more to that story than we knew because according to this insider, Chrissy was actually connected to some of the same people Mendes was dealing with, and not just as an outsider, she was involved. Now, let's pause for a second, because if that's true, then this whole thing takes a completely different turn. This ain't just about sneaky text messages and secret meetups. This is about Chrissy having real legal leverage over Mendes, and that's why he can't cut ties with her, because if he does, she might just start talking, and Mondays cannot afford that. Now, let's rewind a little bit, 'cause this part is crazy. Apparently, back in the early 2000s, before Meanies got locked up, he and Chrissy crossed paths in a way that nobody expected. See, Chrissy has always been deep in the streets, y'all. Remember, she was moving with some real power players back in the day, and sources say she knew a little too much about certain people's operations, including Mondays. Now, when he got locked up the first time, he probably thought he was leaving all that behind. But see, Chrissy didn't forget, and more importantly, she kept receipts, because according to this so-called insider, Chrissy's got information that could put Mendeecees in serious trouble, and that's why he can't ever fully walk away from her. He owes her, and apparently, she never lets him forget it. Now, y'all, this part right here, it's about to make your head spin because people started putting pieces together and realized this ain't the first time Chrissy used information as leverage. See, back in the day, Chrissy wasn't just Jim Jones' girl. She was in the mix with some of the biggest names in hip-hop, and let's just say she knew things that people didn't want getting out. And that's why she was able to move the way she did. People weren't going to cross her, because if they did, she'd start talking. And now it looks like Mendeecees is just another person caught in her web. Now, here's where it gets even messier, because if you've noticed, Jim Jones ain't said nothing. Not a tweet, not a statement, nothing. And let's be real, Jim ain't the type to hold his tongue. So why is he suddenly acting like he don't see what's happening? Some people are saying he already knew about Chrissy and Mendeecees' arrangement, and maybe he don't want no smoke, because think about it. If Chrissy's got dirt on Mendes, who's to say she don't got dirt on Jim too? And that's why he's keeping quiet.